guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and let's get right into this video. So today, this is kind of part 2 of the last video. It's optional, honestly. The nail set isn't a continuation, but the stories are. So we're just gonna get right into it. We're not really unboxing anything, but for this nail set, we're doing Sister Spice's nails.
Hello everyone, it's me again. And look at my cute ring. This is what my cat looks like. His name's Inosuke.
Yeah, we're just gonna get right into the nail set. We're gonna be doing a black Valentine's Day nail set. Not really anti-Valentine's Day, just a black V-Day set. So let's get started. Okay, and now I'm gonna use this cuticle pusher and push back the cuticles. I'm gonna use this round cuticle drill bit and I'm gonna work this around the cuticle area. Next, I'm going to take my cuticle scissors and I'm going to trim off this excess dead skin. I'm going to trim off the excess nail. I'm going to take my hand file and I'm going to smooth out the free edge of the nail. Okay, now I'm going to take my fine grit sanding band and I'm just going to remove any of this excess residue and remove the shine. Next, we're going to be using these NotPolish nail tips. We're just going to get sizing them out. Okay, nail tips are all glued on. Now I'm going to take my tip cutter and we're just going to cut these down just a little bit, just the sliver. Now we're going to get reshaping them. Okay, now we're going to use this fine grit sanding band once again and I'm going to remove the shine from all the nail tips. Okay, so the next step is to add on some Dehydrator. And next is the primer. Next, we're going to be applying a layer of base coat.
Hey guys, Sister Spice here. I'm going to be reading the part 4 that we left off from in the last vid. The 15% of Americans experience a stranger looking through their window. And just to recap it really quick, it's about this girl who just introduced her partner to her family and they're all on vacation at a beach house. And all of a sudden, the main character, her name's Allison, goes out for a run. And then when she comes back, her family's nowhere to be found. And there's this creepy man that entered the house and is leaving her notes everywhere. And she has to follow what the notes are telling her to do. And we left off where she was put in a coffin, spun around, and then launched out of a coffin. And she got reunited with her mom in the cellar. So to continue from that,
so the next nail is going to be a nude to clear ombre, but we're going to start with the nude because I'm going to stick in some heart glitters.
Part 4 begins. Close your eyes, Mom whispered, and put your hands on my shoulders so that I can lead you out of the basement. I tried to swallow, but my throat was too dry. Who's the person we can't anger? I responded in a hushed tone. What will he do if he sees us? Mom wiped away a tear. Please, Allison, please, just don't. Do as I ask. I'm begging you. I couldn't speak. I insisted. I nodded, sweaty hair bobbing in my face as I did. Mom reached out a shaking hand and forced my lids shut. Then she pulled my 2 fingers onto her shoulders and stepped towards the stairs. This is the hardest part, she offered in a shaky voice. This is where you need to trust. Now climb. I lifted a leg and found the first step. I expected sunlight to brighten my lids, because we can sense a sudden flash even when our eyes are closed. But the world remained pitch black as we rose up the stairs towards the morning sun. We feel the presence of others through tiny changes in our senses. That's how it feels. Feels like we're being watched. The force came in an extreme wave. As I walked up the stairs, I knew someone was standing behind me, even though there hadn't been anyone else in the basement. Mom, I'm scared, I groaned. You should be scared, Allison, but you shouldn't be talking. I closed my mouth. This is giving me Bird Box vibes.
So for this nail, I'm gonna add in these black hearts. They're gonna come down from the nude part and onto the tip, so I'm gonna add a little bit of base coat here.
The back of my neck was hot and cold at the same time as we moved up the steps. I noticed something was wrong a minute later. There were only 10 or 12 steps leading down to the cellar. How are we still climbing? Mom? I breathed. What did I say about talking? She snapped. I nearly opened my eyes. Don't open your eyes, Mom ordered. We continued to climb. Imagine she's telling her not to open her eyes because it's something like gonna scare her. We continued to climb. The tickling on my neck grew too thick to ignore, like a slug had inbreeded with a fine-spined cactus and was lusting after my skin. It's licking me, I whispered. Let it, Mom answered. This will be over soon enough. I forced a tear back. Are you lying, Mom? She proceeded in silence. The prickly slug continued along my shoulder, across my back, beneath my armpits, around my chest, and rolled into my navel, getting so cold along the way that my teeth chattered as it slid to my bottom. Then it crawled back up to my neck, so hot that it scalded my skin as it slid up my cheek and moved into my ear canal like a hot, thick, slimy, wriggling worm. I needed to bat it away. Don't take your hands off my shoulder, Mom ordered. I continued with the vileness inside me. I don't know what's happening, man. Then I finally felt light against my eyelids. The presence inside me hated warmth. Irritation ran through my skin as it vibrated softly while the light grew. It moved. The unpleasant caress traveled across my torso, shot up my chest, rolled over my chin, slipped through my lips, and tried to force its way down. I wanted to stop it, to yell out, to scream that my body was my own, but I couldn't breathe. I choked and coughed. It rushed inside of me as I gasped for breath. Finally, we stepped onto the grass. Okay, Allison, open your eyes. I did so and screamed. Mom's face was so different that I hated it. Everything was the same. The only change was that loathing overwhelmed me when I looked at her. So don't look at me, she sighed, turning around like the weight of the world was on her shoulders. Let's go inside. I wanted to ask what in the heck was happening to this house, but I was too distracted with what was happening to me. A hurricane of emotions ran through my chest with no context. I feel joy, rage, victory, blinding anger, and sadness as I followed her inside. My footsteps echoed against the wood. It reminded me of a cloven feet moving across the old barn floor. Crickety-clack. Crickety-clack. Even though I still wore my running shoes, I wanted to cry, but I was too happy. Mom stopped, but she didn't turn around because she didn't want me to see her face. We're about to go into the bathroom. Can you follow my instructions when we do? Yes, Mother, I responded, even though I never called her Mother, and it didn't sound like my voice. She hesitated a second longer before opening the bathroom door and stepping inside. I followed her as she reached for a candle by the sink and lit it. The bathroom was small, but had an enormous mirror on the wall. It gave the illusion of size. Mom placed the candle on the counter and faced the mirror. From now on, only look at my reflection, she commanded. Now close the door and turn out the lights. I focused on breathing. Is everything going to be okay? Allison, Mom responded sharper now. Close the door and turn out the lights. I closed the door and turned out the lights. Then I wrapped myself in a hug, clutching my upper arms and squeezed them tight. You've done a good job of listening to me so far, Allie, she breathed. Just keep staring at my reflection and nothing else. What do you see? My shoulders shook. Your eyes are the wrong color, Mom? I whispered, her reflection nodding. It's beginning. Hold my hands, keep focusing on the mirror. Count up to 19, then down from 13. And don't look away from my eyes while you do. Why? I shot back. Why is any of this happening? Do you know what to do? What does it have to do with me? She took my hands in hers and squeezed. Because you're the one who's going to be dangerous if you disobey, she explained in an even tone. Now take a deep breath and begin counting. The change is about to happen and there's nothing we can do to stop it. What is happening? You know, I don't really like mind twisters like this because it's like, girl, what in the heck? Part 5 of the series. What's the change, Mom? I asked as my hands trembled in hers. part of you already knows, she answered in a steady voice. Now count up to 19, then back down from 13. I focused on her wrong-colored eyes that danced in the bathroom candlelight as she squeezed my fingertips. You can't stop it, Allie. Just make the best of it. Mom drew in a deep breath. Now turn and look at yourself in the mirror. I don't know why I was dreading what I was about to see, but the fear came from an inner place, as though my bone marrow was too cold. There's nothing left to do but face it, Mom whispered. I turned and looked at the reflection of my face dancing in the flame. The desire to cry rose up, but it came from someplace deeper, as though my chest wanted to shed tears. It's wrong, Mom, I gasped. Staring back was something that looked like me, but clearly was not. I don't know how else to explain it. I can tell if an arm belonged to me or to someone else simply by seeing it. I knew that this image was not my own and that something else was altering on the other side. It's not me, Mom, I breathed. I can't explain it. I know, she answered. Don't make it angry. I gazed at the being that looked just like me as it stared through the glass. It blinked when I did. It had the same fizzy brown hair and its eyes were wrong. Mom, why does it have red eyes? I gasped in growing panic. This is enough. Please make it stop. It's too late to stop, Mom's reflection responded. I turned to face her image because I knew that the sound was coming from the other side of the mirror. Why are you doing this to my family? I whispered. Because you are the part of your family that you can't see, Mom's reflection whispered back. It was difficult to see in the dim candlelight, but something was wrong with the reflection's hand. They were clutching one another, just like Mom and I were, but the reflections only had two thick slug-like fingers on each hand that writhed against each other as I watched. What if it's like aliens and they took over their soul or something like that, their consciousness, and then in the real world they look like them, and then they're just stuck in their made up world that the creatures made for them to be in. Mom's hands felt cold and slimy in mine, but I didn't want to look, so I continued to stare at the bathroom mirror. Your mother made a deal with me, Mom's reflection explained. I will turn your Aunt Josie and even her 2 daughters who say terrible things about you and Lynn behind your backs. Upon that return, they will never see shameful things in you. The cost is it stays inside you. P.S. Lynn is her partner. Mom wouldn't do that, I snapped back. Mom's reflection smiled. We hurt the ones we love. Everyone does. Betrayal wouldn't be possible if it wasn't based on trust. My eyes burned. Mom loves me, and that's why you hurt each other, her reflection answered. I turned to face my own reflection, which had obediently mimicked every moment while I pleaded with the mirror. We stared at each other's perfect fascisms of one another as I considered the sincerity of the tears on its cheek. Then, as I felt ready to break, my reflection smiled at me without happiness. Allie, Mom shouted, shaking my arms. Allie, come back to me, please. I blinked in the bright overhead lights. What happened to the candle? I mumbled, distorted. She stared at me sadly, and I looked back. I saw it then, love and guilt chasing one another like an Ouroboros tortured over her child, like all good parents are. Whatever deal she made had forsaken me. I guess we'd better go find Aunt Josie, I offered. She blinked and looked away. Yes, I think we should. Mom hung her head low and walked out of the bathroom. I turned to follow. I wondered if I ever really knew my mom, or was maybe just finding out who she was. She stopped me when we both were in the hall. I read your letter to Santa when you were 6, she explained, without turning around. I don't know if you remember it. That was the first Christmas after Dad left, and I had you write it because I swore to myself that I would make it the most special holiday you ever had. I was determined to give you whatever you asked for. She let out a small sigh, but still did not face me. Instead, she traced her fingertips along the tattered brown wallpaper. Your letter asked for a new mom because I was never happy and you figured that losing a father meant you could get rid of your mother as well. I couldn't move. I remembered that letter. Every morning after I read that, I forced myself to think of a new reason to love you before I got out of bed. When we're hurt by people we love, we find a way to make it work. Ooh, that sucked. I didn't wipe away the tear. How many years did you do that? She hesitated for 3 seconds before answering. I never stopped. Then she turned the corner and walked into the living room. I finally brushed tears from both eyes. Then, pressing palms against my face, I followed her out of the hallway. I stopped upon seeing Mom standing frozen in the middle of the living room. Mom, I whispered, what are you staring at? She didn't answer. Slowly, I stepped around her. Inch by inch, the sight revealed itself to me. Aunt Josie and her daughter sat leaning against the living room wall. Their arms and legs withered slowly and slowly, like they were in a general deal of pain but had no energy or will. All three of them had sewing needles protruding from each shattered eye, blood running down their cheeks like cartoonishly excessive tears. What is this story? Nothing in my life could have prepared me for the experience of stuffing gauzes into my cousin's empty eye sockets as they gently moaned. I would have preferred screams to the unsettling hum and utter agony. Told me they could access their pain, but were too far gone to know anything else. We should call 911, I gasped as my mom pressed bandages against Aunt Josie's sweeping wounds. Mom didn't even spare a glance from me as her arms worked furiously. You know that won't work, Allison, she snapped. You must have realized things aren't right in this place, and that we're alone until the end of this process. Process? I wanted to vomit, but the thing that had made its home in my body would not allow me that much control. Whatever had snuck inside me was there to stay. But where are their eyes? I stammered. If we find them, maybe we can, I don't know, put them back in? I knew my request didn't make any sense, but nothing about the past hour had seemed possible. Mom swallowed. I'm sure their eyes popped like jelly. All we can do is stop the bleeding. Now hold still, she ordered while wrapping a bandage around my cousin's head in an attempt to lock the gauze in place. When she finished, I stepped back, my fingers trembling. I need to wash my hands, I whispered. Mom gently but firmly grabbed both of my wrists. You can't face the bathroom mirror just yet. Her face was paper white. Allison, I never told you about your father. I shook my head. It's fine. That's not important right now, Mom, I countered while trying to pry away from her grasp. She pulled firmly back on my arms. It is important, Allie, please, she pushed in a softer tone. I stared back at her, my jaw hanging low. Oh, okay. Mom let go of my hands and wiped an eye with the only part of her sleeve that wasn't covered in blood. Then she looked around the living room, across the rug, through the window at the sky, and up at the ceiling, everywhere but me. When this came for us? What do you mean, this? What is it? She looked ready to cry. It's just this. Don't question it, Allie. There is no better answer. She wrapped her hands around her waist and stared at the floor. We were offered a choice, Mom continued in a frail tone. And, I asked after several seconds of silence, we chose. I was more confused than I had been at the start. What does that mean for us? She avoided eye contact. When you face the mirror, you will have to choose too. She dropped her hands and finally looked at me, her face miserable. I'm so sorry, Allison. She didn't say anything more. Aunt Josie and her agonizing daughters moaned softly, but there was no other sound in our world. I didn't know what to do. After a seemingly interminable stretch of nothing, I realized that the only path was forward, no matter how impossible that might appear. So I turned from my mother and walked back into the bathroom. The candle that had been extinguished was inexplicably lit once more, providing the only illumination in the room. I stepped in front of the mirror and stared at my reflection. The door slammed shut of its own accord. I jerked my head to stare at it. Look at me, the reflection ordered. I could feel its words coming from my own mouth, though I was not the one forming them. Slowly, I turned to face myself in the mirror. I knew that the person staring back wasn't me. She looked like a carbon copy, but it was a different entity whose eyes were in the wrong color. The being was clearly happy to see me miserable. I've been with your family for so long, the reflection continued as I felt it use my throat. As a child, you told your mother that you were afraid of the dark. Do you know how much it hurt her to lie and say that nothing was watching? I tried to step away, but my body was locked in place. She didn't want to prepare you because she was ashamed of the choice she made. Its smile grew wider. Your mother hates herself every day because she knows that, given the chance, she'd do it over again in the exact same way. I felt my tongue protrude and lick my lips, like a particularly succulent meal was about to be devoured. And now it's your turn, Allison. Are you ready? I felt my head nod, but I didn't control the action. The tears trickling down my cheeks were the only influence that I had over my body. All of the pain you've experienced today, all of the pain your family has gone through, all the fear, it could end right now, the reflection offered. You would be the last to endure it. I won't haunt the generations to follow if you're strong enough to do with your mother, her parents, their parents, everyone before was too weak to do. I swallowed, which is how I found that I could control my face once more. What do I have to do? I asked in a meek voice. A weak red light suddenly flickered on above the bathtub behind me. I looked over my shoulder and nearly fainted. Then I turned back to face the reflection, which spoke when I looked directly at it. This was it, moments of greatest joy. It smiled at me even as tears ran down our collective cheeks. I'll leave you alone forever if you destroy what you love. Otherwise, I'll come for your children as you turn away from them in the shame that your mother feels right now. I couldn't speak. Instead, I slowly turned around once more, shackled by an impossible offer. Ugh, can you guess what's in the bathtub that the red light lit up?
That she has to destroy?
Yeah, something that she loves. The only other character we haven't met yet since this whole crazy fiasco started.
Lynn.
Yes, sir. In the bathtub, unconscious but peaceful, Lynn laid with her hands clasped over her stomach. Sitting on her chest was an ornate, cruel-looking dagger. I could hardly form words. So you want me to stab her while she's sleeping? I gasped, tears flowing faster as I spoke. It's the same choice that your father and I faced, Mom announced from behind me. I struggled to see her. While I controlled my head, the rest of my body was still under another being's power. Her face seemed covered in streaks, but she hadn't been crying. A sob burst from my lips as I realized that I was finally noticing the collective years of agony, exposing cracks in her soul. Your dad and I thought we could handle it. I was right, he was wrong. Mom continued in a paper-thin voice. He killed himself on January 19th, 2013. I wanted to wipe the tears from my eyes and snot from my nose, but that was an impossible task. You said Dad died in a car accident, I blubbered. I also promised that I would always protect you, Mom responded. Parents lie to their children until their childhood world shatters. It's the way of things. I focused on breathing. For the moment, that's all I could do. So Dad didn't love me? I blubbered between gasps.
Okay, so we're pretty much done with the nails. So she's gonna finish a little bit more of the story and then we'll get shaping.
Mom's face was unchanged. I could feel her thoughts even from several feet away. The lack of reaction wasn't from her inability to care. It was the inevitable result when a too early death severs a connection in which we've invested our souls. Your father left the engine running in the garage because he underestimated how much he loved you. No parent can understand that magnitude before meeting their child. She drew her lips into a thin white line. We can't comprehend the significance of our most important decisions until after they're made. Otherwise, we'd never move forward. My jaw quivered. So this is where it begins. Either I stab Lynn to death or I set up the lie for my children right now.
Alright, so here's how the nails are looking. And we'll just continue the story either when we're doing the nail art or we'll just continue it the next time I do her nails. So we're first going to wipe off this sticky layer that's on the nails. Alright, now we're just going to get reshaping these nails. I have my Makartt dust collector and my hand file. And yeah, we're just going to get reshaping. Okay, now we're gonna get into the nail art. So first we're gonna start on the pointer finger, and I'm just gonna start off by painting this nail all black. Okay, so I got the nail painted and it's a little bit see-through, like some parts are kind of sheer, but that's okay because we're going to be sprinkling on this black glitter. All right, I'm going to get sprinkling on this black glitter. Okay, so as we continue with the nail art, I just wanted to say that the way I did this pointer finger was probably not the best way. What I should have done before I even put on the polygel was painted the nail black and then sprinkled on the black holographic glitter and then encapsulated it. Spice told me to do that, but I was like, it's not gonna look like that textured effect that I wanted. But in the end, after I put the glitter on top, it did not look that good. So that's the way I should have done it. Spice was right, okay? I hate to admit it, but Spice was right. So onto the ring finger, I did a V French tip and then I outlined the V shape with some top coat and then I sprinkled in some glitters in that. Then onto the pinky nail, I'm just going to be drawing on some XOs like down the middle of the nail and also sprinkling in some more glitter on that. So this wasn't really a anti-Valentine's Day nail set, more just a black Valentine's Day set. I'd have to go looking on Instagram for an anti-Valentine's Day set because I'm not really sure what I would do for that. And then I did the same thing on the thumb.
I'm just applying some more top coat over this nail and let's look at her transform. Ooh la la.
Now I'm going to be adding on some cuticle oil. And here are how the nails turned out. Let me know what you guys think of this nail set in the comments. I like it. I think it's cute. I think it's nice how it's a Valentine's Day nail set, but it's not the color pink or red. But I hope you guys like this nail set and I hope you guys enjoyed the Reddit stories. We didn't get to finish that series, but the next time I do her nails, we'll definitely continue it. I had a lot of fun doing this nail set. It was a bit easier than her other hand that I just did. So I liked how it didn't take me as long and it wasn't as hard.
Which Valentine's girl are you? Yeah. Super colorful or dark and mysterious? Let us know
in the comments below. That's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye!